Hello, my name is Molly Levine. I'm the executive director of Kulanu, and I have the pleasure of announcing our next two speakers, Genie Milgrom and Benita Nathan Sussman, as they discuss the significance of their work. So Jeannie and Bonnie are both two powerhouses in global jury. So Genie Milgrom is a genealogist and a global speaker on DNA. She developed a method to trace Jewish lineage to the 1400s. She's the past president of the Society of Cryptic Judaic Studies at the Colorado State University. She's the past president of the Society of Jewish Genealogy of Greater Miami, president of Tarbut Sepharad Fermasol in Barcelona, author of My 15 Grandmothers, How I Found My 15 Grandmothers, Pyre to Fire, and the Recipes of My 15 Grandmothers, all available on Amazon in English and Spanish. Some of her books have been translated into Hebrew, Yiddish, and Farsi as well. She is a speaker at the Knesset, the parliament in Israel, and a speaker at the press box at the EU Parliament in Brussels. She's spoken internationally in Spain, Portugal, Guatemala, Ecuador, Uruguay, Denmark, Argentina, and many more countries. She's the winner of the 2015 and 2018 Latin Author Book Award and the winner of the Literary Titan Silver Award for the book Pyre to Fire and the 2019 for the bestseller Recipes of My 15 Grandmothers. She's the recipient of the Genealogy Award from the state of Florida, as well as from the International Association of Jewish Genealogists for her extensive work. She's the recipient of the High Honor of Medal of the 4 Sephardic synagogues from Jerusalem. She also serves as the director of the B'nai Anosim for Kulanu, and with the ASF, she works on the Sephardic Ancestry Certificate. So thank you, Jeannie, for your great work. And then I'll also introduce Benita Nathan Sussman, who will speak after Jeannie. So Benita Nathan Sussman is a volunteer for Kulanu and serves as our president. She is a graduate of the Yeshiva University Stern College, has a master's degree in religion from Columbia University, and a second master's in Jewish education from the Jewish Theological Seminary. For Kulanu, Benita serves many roles, but among them, she serves as the liaison for the newly emerging, returning, and isolated Jewish communities around the globe. She is on the editorial staff of Kulanu's magazine and on the Kulanu board for the Kulanu Academic Cohort, which supports academic study of emerging Jewish communities. Her current mission is to help integrate emerging Jewish communities into world Jewry. Benita and her husband, Rabbi Gerald Sussman, have traveled to Nicaragua, Cameroon, Gabon, Cote d'Ivoire, Papua New Guinea, Madagascar, and India, addressing their Jewish development needs and encouraging their Junis to become part of the Jewish people. The photographs of her travels have been published and exhibited. Benita's vision for the future is that after the Holocaust and the decimation of the established Jewish communities in the Middle East, that it is time for the Jewish people to rebuild. So first, we'll hear from Genie Milgrom.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to be here today, and especially with my partners, with Kulanu and with the Institute of Jewish Experience from the American Sephardi Federation. I will talk about the emerging communities, but before I do that, we have a very big, important lineup of speakers here today. And I just want to say that we all of us are on the ground working in these communities, yet we all see them under a very different lens. And the lens is either from our personal background, or the lens might be from an educational background from the professors or whoever's speaking. So you may be hearing divergent opinions on these emerging communities. I know that tutor Professor Parfit and I had a little small discussion outside, and I saw the difference. So I will tell you from my lens, and I was born Roman Catholic in Havana, Cuba. I will tell you my 1-hour story in 1 minute. I returned to the Jewish people in over 30 years ago, and I returned by conversion, not knowing that I had Sephardic roots of any sort. However, my maternal family taught me all of the Jewish customs from the kitchen, death customs, rituals, I was being taught this the whole time I was born. My grandparents and all subsequent generations going back were first cousins from this tiny village on the border between Spain and Portugal. So I returned, and only after my maternal grandmother died and left me some jewelry that was with Jewish symbols did I start searching for my own roots as being let's say, a born Jew. I did find them. It took me 10 years or more. And I went all the way back to 1405, pre-Inquisition Spain and Portugal, and I located every single birth, death, marriage certificate, notarial deeds, you name it, I have it. No one will ever look at it, but I have it. And I was able to prove a full unbroken maternal lineage of 22 grandmothers in a row, 45 relatives killed directly in a row in the Spanish Inquisition. And I also have the distinction of knowing that no one in my family returned. So we talk about, is it about DNA? Is it about the blood? Is it about the soul? What is it that in all of the families that I come into contact with in the United States, I'm quite vocal about my journey. It was not an easy journey. I was rejected by everybody, first in the Catholic sector, and then in the Jewish sector when I got there. So it was a 5.5-year journey just to join the Jewish people. I came back in a traditional way, so I converted Orthodox. And it, again, over 30 years ago. So how is it that no one in my family has grasped, let's say, the brass ring of the Jewish people, and yet all of these people that contact me day in and day out, I'm very active on social media. I field 400 to 600 emails a month. I must admit I've written templates because it's impossible to do so. But every single email starts with, I feel Jewish. So I understand what Professor Parfit said about the progression from Christian, but you don't start an email with, I feel Jewish. And this comes to me from around the world. And the emerging communities form from people that are, let's say, disillusioned. First they were Catholic, then they were evangelical, then they were Messianic, and now they go Jewish, which is a very real progression. But many of them start their conversations, the minute they meet me, they run up to me, I feel Jewish. Right now, my work for Kulanu, because I know this rejection, because I understand what it is to have to return or remain in the middle or whatever it is, there's such a duality to who we are. We've got one foot. I mean, I am a total, let's say, total religious Jew. I may have one foot in my Catholic family figuratively, but I don't have it in there religiously or culturally. But they're my family. They are my children, my adult children. They are my grandchildren. So the reality is that that one foot in both worlds is something that is important to understand, that when I go down to Latin America, and I am with Kulanu, I have overseen, been in touch with, been in constant contact with 90 communities and over 1,200 people. The communities that you will hear from later, you will hear from Patricio Serna from Casa Tova in Mexico. Via a video, you will hear from President Asher Cornejo from a community in Armenia, El Salvador, where my husband and I have gone down repeatedly. You will hear and you will see that it's like, whoa, this is real and it is happening. Now, why and how each individual got there, that's a different story. I mean, we're all like so personally, I don't think it's DNA related because, my sister puts up a Christmas tree. So I don't think it's DNA related. I don't. For me, could it have been genetic memory? Is it a journey? Like I said, who knows? But it brings us to where we are. these communities in Latin America that I work with in Honduras, Nicaragua, I mean, just speaking about Central America, Costa Rica, all of these, there's 3, 4, 5 different communities, and sometimes I laugh at the joke, you know, the old joke that when the Stiebels, they would make one shul to begin with, and then they'd make another shul because the people got upset with each other and would move to the other shul. So this is the same thing. There's all kinds. People are coming back reform. They're sending their children to Israel to learn to become rabbis. They come back. They're teaching. They're sending them to Israel to learn to read and to learn the Torah. Kulanu has donated many Torahs. I have been a part of the Torah donations. We've donated Megillas. Between Kulanu and my husband Michael and myself, we've built several mikvot down in Latin America when the synagogues were being built or the community centers. And in this Armenia community alone, there's a couple hundred people. And they are serious. They quit their jobs if they have to work on Shabbat. These people are dead on serious, and the years go on and on and on, and it's not like they're deriving any pleasure from, meaning they're not like doing it for money. These are communities that are really trying to self-suffice. So I am down there all the time. I am a testament to them, and I am a testament. I can testify that they pull me aside away from everyone and say, I have always felt Jewish. So this is where we are with a lot of these emerging communities, yet even if they convert with Orthodox Beit Dins, and P.S., one of those conversions of the next generation is taking place today with Rabbanim that have been flown in from Israel, Colombia, and someplace else, and they're choosing to make more conversions, and today we're not able to get Asher Cornejo, who's the president, in on Zoom, and we do have his video, but he kind of breathed a sigh of relief because he had to be at the conversions. And luckily, we provided money for this mikvaot and the plans and everything, and this mikvah to get it done. So now they're all converted, and they're converted Orthodox, and they are rejected. Rejected by everybody. In Costa Rica, they try to buy kosher meat, and they won't sell it to them. In another country, they try to, also, the kosher meat has to be bought through like an agent, a distributor, because the people that are peddling the kosher meat do not believe that they are Jews, so they won't sell them kosher meat. So it's this kind of rejection. And I felt that when I converted with my 2 kids, my son was 14, I did not convert my children. My son was, and of course, they are Jewish because I proved they were Jewish. The Beit Din in Israel gave me a long letter stating that I had come to this place in a roundabout way. But from that moment on, there was no question that all my ascendants and all my descendants were Jews. Therefore, my children are Jewish. My grandchildren are Jewish, but my kids, it was so hard on them. I converted by myself. My ex-husband left me way before I did that, thinking I was nuts, perhaps correctly. My son was 15, my daughter was 3. And growing up in a religious home, unfortunately in this day and age in Miami, sent them further away. So I was rejected by everybody. My family turned their back. Everybody, I know rejection. And I also feel, 5 or 6 years later, I met Michael, my husband, nice Ashkenaz from a rabbinical family, Hasidish, I mean, all the pedigree you could want. And I still live convinced that if I was not on Michael's arm, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I've been able to go to speak about this worldwide. I am convinced. I could have done it on my own, but yes, I am convinced that the doors in many locations open because of Michael. So that means that if you don't have Michael on your arm, there's rejection, and it's hard. So as a result of that rejection, people living, observing, reading the Torah, observing the holidays, and still being rejected, out of that was born the project that I worked with the American Sephardic Federation, which is the Certificate of Sephardic Ancestry. I don't know if that can be, that can be behind me. Okay, so I had approached Jason Guberman at one point. He was very excited with the project, and then Drora ran with it. The very fact that it was something that the ASF and the Institute of Jewish Experience saw the need. For me, we have had a lot of hecklers, a lot of negativity. We have had so much on social media that you cannot even imagine. This was not for a Jewish law or halachic purpose. This was not made to return and be a citizen of any country. That is not its purpose. That wasn't its purpose. This purpose was for all of those people in the United States, in Latin America, in everything that can prove that they have a link to Sephardic ancestors. We're not telling them to go back to 1400, but that they have a link. It was so that they could hang it on their walls, they could feel it in their heart, and they could be proud. Because why shouldn't we have people be proud to be a part of the Jewish people? I mean, why shouldn't we? So these people come to us, their stories are heart-wrenching. On that, this project was started by myself, by Drora Arusi, and by Ashley Perry in Israel. And we brought on Georgina Garza, who's here. And Georgina is an expert on the part of the genealogy, mostly. I mean, she's obviously well-versed in all, but she's an expert on the part that comes from Mexico through to the west, the southwest, whereas my expertise is more in Spain and Portugal. So this Sephardic certificate has brought tears to the eyes of hundreds. This was its main purpose, to at least people to put something on their walls and feel so proud. You could not believe some of these stories. They're feeling so proud. So this is just a little bite of our work. The other work that I do, which actually takes up an incredible amount of my time, is digitizing the Inquisition records and records of the Jews that were hidden Jews all day, every day. It's up on my website. I don't charge anything for people to view them on my website. I've got records that I personally have uploaded for 10, 12 years myself on Excel. Separately, I received funding from a DNA company in Israel to digitize all of the Inquisition records in the world. We just finished digitizing Portugal. All the judgments of the Inquisition in Portugal will be available online in about 30 days, indexed. And with a reader, meaning they're in medieval Portuguese, you can take your mouse, you go like this, and we made an algorithm so that you could read keywords on there. I have hit my head against a brick wall since 2015 with Spain, and I'm still hitting my head against the wall. They just do not want this to happen. We are this close to being able to do it for Mexico. They have finally opened their eyes to this. And why is this? And I have also traveled to the Canary Islands, to Lima, Peru, Cartagena, Colombia, and getting this stuff up and digitized. And why is this important? Because the Inquisition documents is where we find our genealogy. The only proof that the Rabbanim will take in Israel, if that's the route you want to go, are the Inquisition documents. So the genealogies are full on in there until you get back that far with your direct lineage. So if you have to go back that far, then we'd better dig those boxes out of those archives and put them up on the internet. And that is what I'm working on as well. So thank you so much.